Okay. Yeah. Um,
You think they'll put Fanny in protective custody when they lock her up? Or will the girls be glad to see her?
do you think she's going to get locked up? That's.
Yeah, I
All right.
do.
So we have breaking news out of Fanny World.
Sign that Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis is President Donald Trump's next target. I'm Blair Miller.
And I'm Tracy Hutchins. The Justice Department just subpoenaed her travel records. Atlanta News First, Niamani Watson is live outside the Fulton County Courthouse. And Niamani, this comes just one day after the indictment of another one of President Trump's political enemies.
Yeah, just yesterday, former FBI Director James Comey was indicted in connection to the Russian interference investigation in the 2016 election. But according to the New York Times, this inquiry into Fani Willis's travel records show that the Justice Department may be investigating another one of President's old enemies. Now, the inquiry is being led by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Northern District of Georgia. They're seeking Willis's travel records from around the time of last year's election. It's unclear if Willis is the target of the inquiry or if she will face any charges. Willis brought charges against Trump and 18 co-defendants, accusing them of attempting to reverse the results of the 2020 election in Georgia. She was officially removed from the case last week due to a personal relationship she had with a lawyer who was also working on the case. President Trump called it a great decision and said she should be prosecuted.
It was a great decision. It was a rigged case to start off with. It's great. The court just ruled that she is a disaster. She should be put in jail. She's a criminal. Fani Willis is a criminal.
A spokesperson for Willis told the New York Times that they are not aware of any investigation, and she maintained she did nothing wrong. We reached out to both Willis and the U.S. Attorney's Office for comment. We are waiting to hear back. Live outside of the Fulton County Courthouse, I'm Niamani Watson, Atlanta News First.
So she's subpoenaed to hand over travel records.
That's going to be funny. You know where they're going to bust her?
How?
She claimed she did not fly with Wade to D.C. But they're going to have travel records because, as I understand it, I may be wrong, but the allegations in the divorce proceeding wherein Mr. Wade and his estranged wife were going at it show that he was sitting next to her on some flights to DC, and also they were staying in the same hotel room, so that's perjury under her testimony. Also, there's this IRS thing. Remember the point about she was being allowed to pay this off in installments because she didn't have the money to pay off the past due taxes, but then under oath she testifies that she had it in the cookie jar.
She funded one of her campaigns for office.
Like yes, that. And she still had the cash money in the cookie jar. So
she had the money under the mattress.
Yeah, and it's kind of back money. It's interesting. I used to represent defendants, and we'd get an acquittal on everything but the one charge that says making a false statement to a federal agent or agency. And they got creative about that. They'd bring your client in and say, we're here because we're investigating your ties to somebody, blah, 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 that we're very interested in, that we believe is trafficking heavily in drugs. Do you understand that? Yeah, I got it. And then they'll ask him about 20 minutes later, what do you know about this? I ain't knowing nothing about this. Well, see, all of the other 16 counts would be dismissed and they'd bust him on that one because they just got through telling him why he was there. And they just play the tape. We advised him, asked him if he understood it, but this is his answer to the question. It was a small, innocuous one, but it allowed the jury to hang its hat on it. They'd find him guilty of that 17th count of making a false statement. And then it's up to the judge to do the sentencing. which escalates things way up because his hands are tied because of the federal sentencing guidelines and the fact that was under indictment or implicated in other things where they don't have to have beyond a reasonable doubt, just the civil standard of more likely than not, that allows the sentence to be ramped up. And they bust him for a long period of time in a federal facility because he made a knowingly false statement to a federal
So
agency
here's my
or official.
question. If she never dated or slept with Nathan Wade, maybe she would have won the case, or maybe the case would have just went a different way because
It wouldn't have gone any different way.
the case never became a case. It was never presented in court because it could not get there because of the affair story came out. So anytime we saw them in court, it was her defending her relationship with Wade. We never saw her in court going against Trump lawyers or and the other defendants because it never got that far. So
it wasn't. It was a
right.
technicality,
No,
but you
here's my
see, the
question.
case wasn't even supposed to have been
But it
brought.
did. But if Ashley Merchant never found out, or if Fani Willis just would have not dated someone who she worked with, do you think the case would have gone different?
Well, if she hadn't taken a stand like a fool and given testimony and implicated herself, it might have gone differently. But you see, it's likely to come out when you start.
No. I'm saying
going
that if she never dealt with Wade at all.
Well, see, here's the thing. It wouldn't have been any case if she hadn't dealt with Wade because she couldn't resist temptation,
No, that's what I'm saying.
allegedly.
If she never dealt with Wade, how would the Trump case played out differently?
Let me try to phrase it this way. If she hadn't been the type to have dealt with a Wade for the alleged purposes of not only having a love affair, but laundering money, she wouldn't have been the type to have brought the charges in the first place. See, what happened with Trump, what happened with the rap stars, what happened with the teachers union she prosecuted for RICO. I mean, really, teachers union, RICO, I mean, it gets to be the height of absurdity. If it hadn't been for somebody like that, we would never be there. They called it lawfare, and what it is it's the use of the criminal process of the federal government to persecute for political, social, and economic things that have no earthly justification for being prosecuted. That's why we have the Bill of Rights. In 1791, the Bill of Rights was ratified because way back then, people were worried about using the prosecutorial power of the United States for just the purposes you saw her use. That's where the real problem came in. Person who's been to law school, taken the bar exam, been passed on ethical considerations and qualifications, has no business utilizing the authority of her office for those purposes. That's where we come into the problem here.
Hold on. All right, so a subpoena, she's going to go through the same thing that Nathan Wade went through.
Yeah, well, see, the difference is I think Wade has made a deal.
No, but I'm saying this subpoena, she has to go to the Capitol.
But see, here's the deal. Wade is not the one that is the chief prosecutor. He is of minor interest, and they're going to lean on him to get the evidence they need to get her. She is the one that holds the elected office. She's the one that brought everybody in the country's attention. She was the one that was engaged in the propaganda to try to take down this person who is the 47th and 45th president of the United States of America, who this time got a landslide victory and represents the interest of the majority of the people in the United States of America. Now, that's what she did. She took the risk. She counted on Hyena Harris being the winner. She was not. So she went overboard. So when you know, baste yourself with a certain kind of sauce and you're the goose, you can't consider it wrong for the gander to use the same sauce. You know, what goes around comes around. And see, that's only justice.
Well,
So you have another problem too. The same one that Tish up in New York has. She went after Trump for supposedly improperly arranging finance through a bank that says it wasn't improper. This is how we always do it. But then we find out she even claimed her dad as her spouse to get an improper loan from out of state, where she's supposed to be a resident out of state, where she can't be if she's supposed to be the attorney general for New York. So you have these interesting things. It's a thing with con artists. I noticed this in my 50 years of doing this stuff with criminal justice, that peculiarly con men, con women try to con other people in a fashion that they're worried about having done to them. They make complaints, and in the process of making complaints, they reveal what they were doing. When I had my show, I used to get awards from law enforcement in local areas. Judge, how did you come about ascertaining this fraud that was going on? Because they were accusing somebody else of it. Invariably, they would accuse somebody of doing to them what they were already doing to others, whether it was welfare fraud, insurance fraud, coming off of all people to do a scam against the federal government itself with its banking protections. So, I mean, it's crazy what these type will do. And
well,
she and Tish were accusing somebody else of doing exactly what they were doing.
Well, I want to play this clip of Young Thug, because apparently this was the longest trial in the history of the state of Georgia. And, that
Waste
fell
of
apart.
money.
It was a waste of money, and her office just don't know how, they don't know how to prosecute properly. But what happened was, over the weekend, he did a free
A concert.
Yeah, let me just play this quick clip in front of the Fulton County Courthouse.
Well, nearly 1 year after taking a plea deal, Atlanta rapper Young Thug returned back to the Fulton County Courthouse today. But this time it was not for a hearing. Hundreds of fans packed the courthouse steps for a surprise concert by Young Thug, whose real name is Jeffrey Williams. He announced the show just hours before on X. Between the songs, he urged the crowd to stop the violence, and he also said people should not be walking into court as defendants, but as lawyers and district attorneys. Young Thug also shared his new outlook on life with the audience.
This is not the place you want to be. On the bad side, when you come here, you want to be a lawyer, you want to be a DA, you want to be on that side, you don't want to be on the defender side, This place shaped me, man. This place changed my life.
After nearly 2 years on trial for RICO charges, Young Thug has taken a plea deal. So this gives him 15 years of probation. And as part of his community service, Williams will hold an anti-violence concert moving forward. Now, Fulton County Sheriff Pat Labat released a statement after that concert saying in part that our community benefits if these powerful words touch just one young man or woman and keep them out of the court system and the Fulton County Jail.
You know what I find interesting, Labat? We've dealt with him a lot. He is a gay porn star, and that's his qualification to be sheriff of that county. That is a sick county. And the other thing is, I find it interesting, the rapper is the only one that copped out. Everybody else walked. So he lost his nerve. And repentance is a bitch. He's got a lot to do
15 years on
for,
probation?
yeah, and he's got a lot to do to make up for the years he spent trying to urge youth to take penitentiary chances and do things the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
Irony.
Yeah,
He goes up and does this, and he's the only one that copped out. By the way, people, young folk, be careful who you try to emulate. The badass may not be the badass on the
right.
scene.